Hi, folks. Got a fantastic guest with me today, Richard Donaldson, and he is organising the Great British National Strike. So lovely to meet you. I saw your stuff on TikTok, and it seems to be like the fastest growing channel on TikTok. So why have you decided to go on strike and get the British public to join you?
I've had enough, and I think a lot of people have had enough. And I was sort of lying awake at night, going through everything in my head and everything that's happening at the minute, net zero, illegal immigration. Just there's so many issues going on at the moment, and we all seem to be stuck in this sort of rut as a nation, which is when's it gonna change? When's someone gonna stand up? When's someone going to do something about this? And one day it just sort of, well, one night about 3 o'clock in the morning, it just sort of clicked. I thought, "Do you know what? I've had enough. And I know everyone else has had enough. And I thought it's time to stand up, and it's time to. It sounds a bit pink and fluffy, a bit sort of a bit, but we're so divided at the minute, left versus right. English, white people, black people, everyone in between. This isn't about race or religion anymore. This isn't about us versus, the people down the road. This is about a government, a judiciary, religious institutions who are so absolutely hell bent on dividing us all, and then essentially shafting us all as well. So it's a message that I wanted to start to say we all need to stand together, we all need to come together, because essentially we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. We're all struggling. We're all suffering in one way or another. Um, and yeah, it was time to sort of rally everyone together and say, forget your differences, your political ideologies, whatever it is. We're all in the same boat here, and it's time to stand up and say no more.
So you're ex-British Army. I think you did like 6 years in the army.
Yeah.
Has that helped you in trying to organise this?
I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, I predominantly I worked in logistics. Um, Went out to the Middle East a couple of times. I was on a few different operations. The army was quite an eye opener for me because I went into the army as most people do, thinking I understood what it would be about and what I'd be doing, and I'd be, fighting for my country, for the Queen and all the rest of it. And then as time went on, I got a couple of years in, and I thought this really isn't what I thought it was going to be. The army got quite
In
woke.
what way? In what way?
It got quite woke. It was so political. I assumed, as most people would when they join the army, that it'd be quite a basic thing. You join the army, you do your training, you go and do your job, and that would be that. But it was so political. It was so political in the army. And to be honest with you, I'd say 70 to 80% of everything I did in the army was run by civilians.
Right.
So to me, it just made no sense anymore. I mean, there was personal reasons. We had a little baby boy and all the rest of it. So I packed it in. I wanted to come home and settle down, sort of thing, with my wife. Um, but the army just it wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all.
So so you've put out this call for a national strike, and what has been the response, and what's going to happen on the day?
So every single response you could ever possibly imagine. The first sort of 24 hours were insane. At first, I put it out because I felt compelled to do it. I felt like it was something I had to do. I had to start trying to rally people just to do something. I didn't know what that something was going to be initially, or how it would be received. But I knew I had to do something. And so in the first 24 hours, I thought, I'll put it out. I'll try and rally people together, and at least I'm doing something. It just took off in the first 24 hours. I think in the first 24 hours, we had about 20,000 followers, tens of thousands of likes and comments and all the rest of it. The initial response was very good for some reason, and I can't seem to figure out why without getting a bit conspiracy theory. The
Mhm.
bigger this seems to be getting, the more sort of hate it's attracting. And it seems to be from the very people who, I don't want to cause a divide, said that from the start. People on the right wing of politics, or people who present as right wing, tend to be very supportive, and they tend to be very supportive of other people joining in.
Yes.
The people who you could who are on the left wing of politics, they're so against this, regardless of the fact that I said, forget race, forget religion, forget your gender. However, I don't care. I do not care who you are, where you're from. I simply don't care. As long as you're a good person, you live by our way of life. If you came here 2 weeks ago, if you came here 20 years ago, I don't care, and I don't care where you come from. As long as you can say that you care about this country, our values, our standards. As long as you can say that you want our country to be better and you identify as British, you'll follow our rules, our laws. I do not care where you come from or where your ideologies lie.
Mhm.
The left were pushing this for so long, saying, "Oh, we all need to come together, inclusion, diversity, equality." The moment somebody stands up who hasn't got blue hair and doesn't use their face as a pincushion, they attack. So
Yeah.
it was really strange to me that I was literally bringing together the right wing, the left wing, every race, every religion. And
Mhm.
yet there seems to be, and it is a small group of people, but they seem to be, one person will post 10, 15 comments on one video, just saying the same thing over and over again. So it seems like there's a lot more sort of negative than positive, but it's not the case. But it that really shocked me that
Yeah, I
that was
do
the case.
find, and this is just my political viewpoint, but the left seem to be so divisive. I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I attended and filmed a rally the other day, which was about children being abused, and that
Hmm.
encompassed all aspects, whether it be grooming gangs, Catholic Church, just basically the whole thing was
Yeah.
about protecting children. But
Hmm.
again, there was division from the left, and you'd think, well, how can you criticize that when you're just trying to protect children? I just
Yeah.
don't understand. Have you had sort of threats, or is it just sort of verbal abuse?
I've had a couple of things, so I don't know how deep that. Okay. So yeah, so we've got a little boy. I've put in my videos that I've got a little boy, I've got a wife. There's been threats made against them through like messages that eventually end up getting deleted, and the accounts they're not even real accounts. When you go onto them, they're just empty, they're private. Um, so there's been those sorts of threats. Obviously, there's the things that come along with my work as well.
Yes.
There's HR implications there. Um,
Yeah.
so I've got to be careful with what I say about that. But ultimately, it was really strange. So the day after I started the channel and it started to really pick up momentum, again, not trying to get all conspiracy theory,
Mhm.
but I was out with a mate, we were drinking, and I thought, my wife's not, she doesn't pester me, but after I've been out sort of 3, 4, 5 hours, she'll just say, "Oh,
Yeah.
I hope you're getting on all right," sort of thing. I didn't hear anything. I picked my phone up and it just turned off. It just so pressed the power button, it came on, had like 80 something percent battery. And I use a Google Pixel, it's an Android. So it came up saying that there was like a spinner on the screen to say that your files have been successfully deleted. And I thought, a bit strange. Went into it, my WhatsApp had gone.
Really?
I'd been deleted from groups in the WhatsApp. Again, it sounds really out there. I'm trying to not do the whole, oh, it's the government. But my WhatsApp messages have been deleted. I've been deleted from groups. When I re-downloaded WhatsApp the following morning, because my wife thought I was just ignoring it. Tried downloading WhatsApp the next morning, and it was registered to a different number, a number that
Really?
I've never seen in my life. Yeah, so then I had to go through WhatsApp, the WhatsApp team, and get my WhatsApp back and stuff like that. Our internet went down for 2 days.
Really?
Never happened before. It's not happened since. Little things
Yeah,
like that.
because
So
the
there's
thing
just
is,
yeah,
you're putting yourself in the firing line. I think it's very commendable because anybody that stands up, so few people in this country seem to stand up and take a position. And as soon as you do that, you are then open to this kind of abuse and attack. And really, all you're trying to do is to better the lives for the British people. That's all you're trying to do,
yeah.
isn't it?
Which is the worst thing you can possibly try and do, where the establishment are concerned. It's like you're trying to bring people together. You know what I mean? So yeah,
It's not one big event, is it? But it's in multiple
no,
cities. So give us an
yeah.
idea of where it's going to be and where people can go.
So this is going to be whether 300 people turn up in one location, whether 1,000 people turn up in one. This is going to be in every single city centre across the UK.
Mhm.
People have come forward and they've said, "Look, I've got mobility issues. I can't get into the city centre. Can we do one in our town?" Absolutely. You want to do one in your town? You want to do one in your village? Do one in your village. Get on your phone, live stream it, put it up on Facebook, whatever. Make noise and let people know that we're not in this. We're not alone. We are all going to stand together. So this is going to be in every city centre across the UK, many towns and a few villages from what I've seen. But we're organising the cities. Every city centre on the 24th of May, which is a Saturday, which a lot of people have voiced their disapproval of.
Tell us the
I've got my reasons.
why the Saturday
Why?
then? Yeah.
Why the Saturday? There's so many reasons. It's going to put the most amount of strain on the big businesses, the large corporations, and then ultimately the government down the line, because it's the busiest trading day of the week and it's going to be bank holiday weekend. Anybody not participating in the strike, they've not seen it on Facebook, whatever, they'll all be out in the city centres, they'll all be out shopping because that's what you do on a Saturday. People are out, so they're going to see it and they're going to go, what's this? What's this all about? So that's extra exposure. The other thing is a lot of people are going to be off anyway. So this first strike is a warning shot, essentially, to the government to say, look, we're willing to stand together. This is the very start. But at the same time, because we're not well known, we're not. I'm no celebrity. I'm not a politician. People don't know who I am. It's very, very difficult to rally a lot of people together at once and tell them to all go to their city centres and try and convince them to take a day off work and lose money. So what I needed to do essentially was protect people financially and get people to see that actually people are willing to stand together, people are willing to come together. And then if we're not heard, which I suspect we won't be, being honest, on this first initial strike, that's when we up the ante. And that's when we say, well, actually, we're going to start using weekdays now. And it's not going to be one day, it's going to be a week. Mm-hmm. Because people have already seen that initial strike and seen people come together and it's got momentum and it's a valid thing, people would be much more inclined, I believe, the second time around to do it for a week.
Yeah, so that's quite sort of clever. So it's a process, yeah.
It's something I've had to, yeah. I've been planning it for maybe 2 years, trying to work against an establishment that essentially doesn't want us to do this, trying to protect the people involved, whilst also trying to have the largest impact on those that we're trying to actually take the fight to. That makes sense.
So are you saying to people on the day that, they shouldn't spend their money in big business, in shops or this, that and the other? No, or is it just a show maybe of strength, of a strength of opinion?
It's both, but then there's also the other side to it, which is everybody come together, bake cakes, bake scones, bring flasks of tea, please no alcohol. Everybody come together and show that we are united. Please, everyone from every single background, come along. You are more than welcome. If you are here legally, you identify as British, whether you're dual nationality, whatever, come along. You're more than welcome. Do not spend your money in the big shops. Do not do it. However, spend money, cash, in the smaller shops on that day. And I'm not saying to anybody, do not declare your taxes or your sales. But what I am saying is, if everybody pays cash into small businesses, well,
Yeah, it all helps. So I just want to identify. So what are your main kind of gripes? Is it specifically against this government or is it against the whole political elite? Although obviously this government hasn't helped, has it?
No, it is the political elite. But again, without getting too conspiracy theory, there's a lot going on above government with the likes of the WEF and BlackRock, etc., which a lot of people are awake to. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people also aren't. So I need to stick to a mainstream narrative at the minute whilst trying to introduce these ideas to people.
Yes.
So my very first issue at the minute, which is the issue that I think is the most detrimental to the UK, which is illegal immigration.
Yeah.
I have no problem with immigration. I don't know anybody who does have a problem with immigration.
No.
As long as it's controlled.
Yes.
As long as it's not a case of just opening your doors and letting everyone flood in, unvetted, unchecked. It could be anyone from anywhere coming here, and then we're spending billions of pounds to essentially clothe them, feed them, give them driving lessons, days out. They're all getting a free iPhone with a SIM card and credit put on as soon as they arrive. They're put up in 4-star hotels with jacuzzis and Netflix, etc. So I don't know anybody genuinely who has a problem with controlled immigration.
No.
People who are going to come here and have a net positive effect on the country. That's what Britain's founded on. That's how we've run for hundreds of years. That's how we've always run. Mm-hmm. The problem is illegal immigration and the fact that if you speak up against illegal immigration, well, you're a racist. If you don't want crime rates going through the roof, you don't want to be spending money that, quite frankly, we haven't got, that should be going to our elderly, to our young children, to those who most need it. If you oppose people coming here and essentially just milking the system dry and being violent and choosing not to integrate at the same time, you're labelled a racist. So illegal immigration is a massive one of mine.
Yeah, no doubt you will have been smeared as a sort of right-wing sort of
Yeah, yeah,
racist. Yeah, because anybody who has any even raises the question of illegal immigration just gets automatically smeared, don't you? And
yeah.
which is ridiculous because, like we say, I don't know anybody who's against immigration. You know, it's great, it enriches the country and this, that, and the other, but
Hmm.
it's too much. It's too
Yeah.
much. You know, it's overwhelming all the services and everything else like that. The school system, the hospitals, and then of course you've got the illegal immigration, which no government it seems is interested in stopping. So I
Hmm.
totally agree, but no doubt I'll be labelled now as well. You know, what other issues as well?
So the next one's net zero.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know, for example, 55% of your energy bill right now is carbon tax
Hmm.
because of this whole net zero agenda. So for every we at the moment in the UK, we're paying on average £110 per kilowatt hour. £60 of that is just carbon tax, and
Hmm.
it's divvied up. It's not just a 60% tax that's put on. It's 12% carbon headroom, whatever that is. It's 10% carbon efficiency taxation. It's You can go online and look into it, and I suggest everyone does. It's divvied up, and when you add it all up, when you're paying £110 per kilowatt hour, megawatt hour of your electricity, £60 of that, 55%, is carbon tax.
Hmm.
So and this is where 14.4 million homes are now living below the poverty line.
Hmm.
You've got, I think, 4.3 million children every evening are going to bed hungry. You've got 1.9 million pensioners now who essentially are behind on all of their
Hmm.
priority bills, they call them. And now Rachel Reeves has announced that they're going to be stripping disability benefits, which is going to add a further 1.9 million people to
Hmm.
below the poverty line in the first year. But
Yeah.
we can afford illegal immigration. We can afford to send money to Ukraine and overseas. It is an attack on British people. It just is.
So Ukraine is another issue for you, especially I suppose
Yeah.
having been in the army. Yeah,
Hmm.
what's your kind of views on that?
Again, without getting too conspiratorial, we're not there for the reasons that we're told that we're there for. Zelensky yesterday put a tweet. I say a tweet. Put a post out on X saying that he was going to kill Putin. He was going to make sure that Putin didn't survive the week.
That's not useful, is
However,
it?
however, on the news today, Keir Starmer's come forward and said that Putin now needs to start playing ball. It's like, well, Putin's sat down with Trump multiple times, and I know it's all on X. It doesn't seem to be in the mainstream news, which is a
No.
big shock, obviously. Um, they're trying to get this peace deal done,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
NATO and Zelensky are doing everything they can to keep it rolling, to keep
I
that
know.
money flowing. And again, you go into the conspiracy behind things, but I mean, BlackRock own, I think it's nearly 50 million acres of farmland in Ukraine.
Hmm.
BlackRock, who are running out of America,
Hmm.
are now buying up all the farmland in Ukraine.
Hmm.
It's Nothing about the Ukraine war makes sense to me. Absolutely nothing.
No,
And
no, and
the
I
fact that
don't
the UK
understand
government,
why people are so sort of anti stopping the war. I mean, I'm a big and I don't care who knows it. I'm a big supporter of Trump. I think he's
same.
trying. People don't like him. Whatever happens, he's trying to get peace and stop people
Yeah.
being killed. I mean, that's the
Hmm.
bottom line. And it does seem that our government, Keir Starmer, and everybody else, seems to want to prolong this horrendous war. And
Yeah.
you would know being in the army. I mean, I would say to people, if you're that keen on keeping the war going, off you go, head off to Ukraine, sign up and get in the front line, see how you get on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's terrible. But anyway, we're kind of sidetracking a little bit. So there's sort of a lot of issues that you're unhappy with the way that this particular government is going. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's essentially what the protest is about. Do you think that the British public have the kind of backbone to step up? Because I wonder whether people do anymore. There seems to be a certain amount of people who do stand up, and you see them often on different rallies and this, that, and the other. But often the general public just seem to just let it all go.
Yeah, we've always been. I think British people in general, we're very sort of well mannered, and we,
Hmm.
the whole keep calm and carry on thing. People at the moment are scared. I'm
Yeah.
scared.
Mhm.
Everybody's scared. Everybody's fearful of the future. But there is, I don't know if you've noticed it, there is a whiff of change in the air at the minute
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
people know, I'm fully aware, I've got a son, I've got a wife, I've got a job. I'm fully aware that what I'm doing now could very well put me in prison and I could lose,
Yeah.
access to my, the right to a family life. I put that to one side, and I know many, many more people, once they see what's happening here and the momentum that we're building and that people are coming together, and people are and people will, that can only sort of snowball. And I think at the moment, we are very oppressed. It wasn't that long ago they were going on about Russia and China throwing people in the gulag and all the rest of it
Mm.
for, essentially freedom of speech. And I think is that this year alone we've jailed 3,600 people
Mhm.
for essentially posts online, or they've been convicted, not jailed. Sorry, I think in Russia it's 312.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I know. Do you worry? I mean, is your family? You've got a sort of young family. Are they behind you with this, or do they have worries about it? Are they supportive?
yeah. So firstly, my wife, yeah, she's an absolute she's an angel. She really is. So she sort of, I talked to her about these things, and she's like, right, right, right. And then when I said I was doing this, she's like, right, right, okay, okay. So she's just sort of, she knows what I'm like. Once I sort of, I'm like a dog with a bone, with a bone. I really am. Um, my family on my side are very, very much the same. They say, just be careful.
Hmm.
But they are quite supportive. My wife's side, they don't really talk about things like this. They're a bit more sort of
Hmm.
um, they wouldn't talk politics and things like
No.
that openly. But I'd say on the whole, my friends, my family are really 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 supportive. Yeah,
And your ex-army colleagues and stuff?
yeah. I spoke to a couple of them, got in touch. It's one of those where you all sort of, you leave the army eventually. You all go your own ways.
Yeah.
And a few of them have dropped me a text message or called me. What the fuck are you doing? Well, they know what I was like back in the day. I was never the perfect soldier. I was never the one to always follow an order because I was given the order. I used to question everything, which always I was always in trouble for something.
Right.
So they know what I'm like, but a lot of them are yeah, even now they're saying, "What are you doing? You're going to end up in jail. You're going to lose your job." I'm past caring. I really am, because lying in bed at night worrying about my family's future, the future of the nation, it's not going to achieve anything, and it's not going to achieve anything for anyone to do that. If you're genuinely worried about where we're going as a nation, you've got to stand up and say something. You've got
Yeah.
to.
How real do you think the threat is of you going to prison? I mean, because it's ridiculous to even talk about it, because actually what you're just talking about is having a strike because you don't agree
Mhm.
with what is going on. But nowadays there is that possibility that you could get leaned on, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a friend who's a lawyer, and he sort of steers me in the direction of what I can and can't say.
Mhm.
Um, all I have to say is something that could be deemed to be inciting a form of hatred. So if
Yes.
I say anything publicly, not that is, I don't like this group of people, I don't want this group of people to join us. If I say anything that could be deemed to be pushing
Yes.
that sort of narrative, they
Yeah.
can come down and they can get me, and it's that simple.
Well, you're not. So, I mean, you're not in this conversation, you're not inciting anybody. You're just saying, basically you are unhappy with what's going on in the country.
Mhm.
You're not, which surely you're allowed to have that valid view.
Yeah, I mean, so he told me, my lawyer friend, he told me I wasn't allowed to say this, but I don't really care. So I think at some point there is going to be some form of revolution in the UK, a civil war, if you like, or something
Yeah.
similar to a civil war. One of the main reasons I'm doing this is because I want to get us to a point where we can avoid that completely.
Yes.
So many people, you speak to it's in the comments, in the comment sections. Oh, we need a civil war. It's like, I don't think you understand what civil war entails.
No.
You know, having no running water, no electricity, you know, having to go out and hunt for your food because people don't understand. When we get to that point, our civilization as we know it, our life in the UK, it's done. It's done. But what I'm trying to do now is actually the opposite of trying to incite any form of violence. I'm trying to prevent it because I think we are going that way.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think if it goes on, it may not happen now, but in maybe 10 years' time or something like that, it's obviously things are getting worse and worse. People are getting more and more dissatisfied and upset. I've never known a time in my life where the disillusionment in politics is so extreme, and
Yeah.
where it seems that the government is actively working against the people in every viewpoint that they have, you know. Have you thought of going to stand politically?
No, I did. Yeah, I thought about it. I think it's a very broken system, and I think anybody who goes in wanting to create positive change at the minute, with how it is at the moment, would be chewed up and spat out. I don't think you'd last very long. I mean, we've all got our own opinions, I'm sure, on Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib and everything that's happened with the Reform Party. I was really positive with. I was really hopeful with
So
Reform
was I.
when they first started out, and I feel a bit foolish actually for putting all my eggs in that basket. I think what's happened with Rupert Lowe is a classic example of somebody who he didn't need that position. He donates his MP salary every month. He doesn't need to do that. I think he genuinely wanted to create a positive change.
Yeah.
But because he went in with that mindset, this is this has all happened. And he's been chewed up and spat out essentially.
Yeah, he's
So,
been
so
completely
no.
smeared totally, and
Yeah.
I think it's very sad because I think I am sort of a reform supporter, but now much less so, and I'm
It's
wondering
tainted,
whether they
isn't it?
are.
It's
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think they're the least worst option at the moment,
yes,
but they're
that's kind
they're
of.
they're not what I thought they were.
No, I mean, I guess I'd still probably vote for them because they're the best of a bad bunch, but my enthusiasm
Yeah.
is completely diminished, and all
Mhm.
that. So we've only got about like 5 minutes to go. So really, so it's the 24th of May, right?
Yeah.
And is there a particular time? Is it different for each town and city and everything? And also, where can people find the information, and where can they follow you and everything?
Yeah, so it is the 24th of May. Every major city centre in the UK. It's at 12 p.m.
Mhm.
And what we're doing now is essentially we've had to sort of recce each city and see where we would be best meeting up. So at the minute, I think it's 22 cities confirmed. If you go on Facebook, TikTok, or X, and you type in the Great British National Strike, everything's on there. The videos that I've done, the information that you need. We're putting out posters now for each city. So Manchester, 24th of May, 12 p.m., and then the meeting point. And we're doing that for every single city centre now. So we've got 11,000 followers on Facebook, nearly 80,000 on TikTok. I think there's around 5,000. We're nearly 100,000 strong in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing because this is a very recent thing. This is not
Yeah,
like been going for forever. So you've done very well to start with, and I think the more people get the word out, I think the more support you're going to get. Yeah, so 24th of May. Now, is there any sort of like leaders in each sort of city or whatever, or basically people just turn up and converse or have placards, or what do they do?
so at the moment, what I'm doing is I'm sort of vetting people who are coming forward. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I can see you've got one in Lincoln." I would like to organise Lincoln, but there's a lot of people who are sort of trying to infiltrate at the moment.
Yes.
Um, Fake accounts, all the rest of it, who essentially want to get the way in and try and shut it down. But people are coming forward. How would I say this? I don't want any onus for anything that may occur in those cities to be on any one person in those cities. So at the moment, we've got admins. We call them admins,
Yes.
and they're sort of running the admin for their city centre. So they'll get there before 12 o'clock with their flags and their banners and all the rest of it. Get people in. They're organising things like street performers and singers, and
Right.
to create a bit of a buzz, a bit of an atmosphere. So
Yeah.
yes, we have got people, not in every city centre yet, but we are still working on that. I think we've got 22 or 23 so far.
Is London sorted? Yeah.
London's sorted, yeah. If you go on Facebook, London's sorted. That's good to go. 12 p.m. Again, all the information's on Facebook. I'm trying to think where we've done for London. Outside Downing Street. The gates
Oh,
outside
fantastic.
Downing Street. Yeah, then my
That's the
mind went
place to
completely
go.
blank. Then there's been so many cities floating around and names and meeting
I
points
know.
and all the
You
rest of
you
it.
must be overrun
Um,
with it all. You must be overrun with it all.
it is tough. I'm not going to complain. Um, I've done this off my own back. This is my choice, but I do work sort of 60, 65 hour weeks. Obviously, family
Good.
life, personal life, and then this has been a full time job as well. So if I'm getting 4 hours sleep a night, it's good. But I've got
Well,
so much
look,
energy doing this.
I just want to urge people who watch this channel, to check out the Facebook, check out the TikTok, and support Richard because, he's putting his sort of not his life, but well his overall life, out there to have a go. So do support him and check it out. And look, we really wish you the best of luck with it. I shall definitely attend the probably the London event, or if there's one more local to me. So and then maybe afterwards come back on and tell us how it went. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll put all the links underneath in the description, folks. Have a look, check them out, and really appreciate you coming on, Richard, and telling us about it, and also standing up for this country. So well done.
no, thank you for having me as well. Thank you.